Hello everyone. Welcome to Working Man's Kind of Sorrow. This is what happened, this is what my wife and I went through on October 13th, 2011. I'll talk a little fast, I gotta get used to the time frame I'm allowed to do my segments in. I flipped over at noon to watch the noon news, and they were covering the Ravenna bank robbery where two suspects were killed and an officer was killed. And all they would do is talk and show pictures of all the vehicles lined up on the freeway, but you didn't get nothing else. So I was glued to the TV all day. The wife was getting ready for work, or getting ready to go to school in the afternoon, when the officers came to our door. But prior to them coming to our door, I was tending to my garden. She was getting ready for school. She yells, "We got cops coming to the door." I'm like, "What?" They came to the door, asked for my name. I told them. They came in the house, and they said, "Your son Darrell Pay was killed." And I pointed right at the TV and I said, "That's them. They're the suspects of the bank robbery, aren't they?" And he said, "Yes, he was killed in a shootout." And my wife come out of the rooms. "What happened?" I said, "DJ was killed. He was involved in that bank robbery." So we were all, there's three officers, me and my wife, in the living room. I was sitting down, and the news was still covering it on the TV, and we were talking as it first happened. And News 8 put on the picture of the AK-47 and the M4 grenade launcher or whatever it was. And I pointed right at TV and I goes, "Them are toy guns." I held them in my hand in his basement with Chris and DJ both there. I said, "Them are toy guns." Then I proceeded to, then Tina had to call her school and let them know what was going on. And we had, I had made the comments, we made some comments with we were all on the back deck. I had my landlady come over because all the police were there, and she wanted to know what was going on. So I asked the officers if they would check out my room, because both I'm a medical card holder and my wife is, and I was tending to my garden. And the one officer, there was three of them. There was a tall one, there was a medium-sized one, and then there was a lady officer. And the shorter of the two male officers, he said, "Sir, we had an officer killed here, and I think we got more important things," because I asked him if they'd check my room out, make sure it was legal, so I didn't have to worry about anything after what they just came in my house and told me. When he made that comment to me, I said, "Excuse me?" I said, "You guys killed my son." And I said, "You just came in my house, dropped the bomb on me, and you don't even know who's driving the vehicle and stuff. And I told you, if DJ's dead, it's Chris. And I ask you to help me make light of this tragic situation, because I know that they can come back on me for this. Please make sure it's legal." And he started to say something, and the taller officer, gosh, God bless him, he looked at my landlady and he goes, "If it'll make you feel good." And we went and we checked my room out, and he said I had a very nice room, etc., etc. And so I said, "Thank you very much." I said, "Now let's go deal with the tragedy at hand." And that's what we proceeded to do. I proceeded to tell those officers that I held them guns in my hands in his basement, and asked both of them right there, why do these guns not have orange ends on them? If they're toy guns, why don't they have orange ends on them? And they proceeded to tell me, "Well, we don't need them. We're going to, what if you, etc., etc." I told them what I had the conversation with DJ and Chris about the guns. Well, then I asked them, "Okay, who was driving the vehicle?" "We don't know." I said, "Who was with him?" "We don't know." "Well, I'm going to tell you right now, if you're here at my house telling me that my boy's dead because he robbed a bank, I'm telling you right now that Chris," and then I couldn't remember his last name, and Tina goes, "It's Shane." I goes, "Chris Shane is with him. He's the other individual that's dead. Now, how come you don't know that if you're coming to my house telling me, well, we just came on shift, etc., etc.? Okay. So we finished our discussion, and as they were leaving, I asked them, I said, and I believe the female was going out first and the shorter guy and then the taller guy last, if I remember correctly. But anyway, as they were leaving, I said, well, hey, by the way, how did you find me? And it kind of took him by surprise. And he turned around and he says, well, what do you mean? I says, well, how'd you find me? I says, it's been on the news all day that they didn't know who the suspects were. There was no IDs, no nothing. Well, Secretary of State, your same name is, you know, you're both father and son, same name. I said, that's what I mean, though. If you didn't know who it was, how'd you find me? Michigan State Police, whatever. Okay. We let it go at that. Well, then we tried calling Mariah, his girlfriend, and she didn't call us back. Well, then when her and her mom came over and she did contact us and come over later, she told us that the FBI came in the house, didn't tell her anything, searched the house, took things out, made a list, took things out of the house and didn't put them on the list, and et cetera, et cetera. So her and her mom went down and made us keys. I told her, I said, DJ, give me a key to a house. I said, but go make a key just in case. They went down, made a key. We went. They said we'd go in there and get the information because they were afraid to stay in the house. Okay, not a problem. So after they left, before they left, I had called the medical examiner because the officers that came to my house gave me a card and said, if you have any questions, call Ottawa County Sheriff's Department. They'll answer your questions. So we called. And we got the medical examiner, and I said, I want to see my boy's body. I want to identify my body. I says, who identified the bodies? He goes, well, we know who they are. I just don't know which one I got. I said, excuse me? I said, there was no IDs found. Who identified them? And he goes, well, we know who they are. And this is David Starter, the medical examiner. And he says, but I don't know which one I got. And I said, no, that's kind of odd. I says, they're pretty distinct between them, and if you know you got DJ and you know you got Chris, it's pretty distinct between them who's who. And so Mariah described a couple tattoos. We described them, and he said, oh, okay, yep, I know which one. And it's like, all right, I thought that was odd. And when I told him I wanted to see the body again before the autopsy, he told me that because of the incident and weapons involved, the autopsy was put on hold, and I could see the body at Blodgett after the autopsy. I said, okay, fine. And then we proceeded to have the rest of our night in tragedy, wondering how the hell this could go down. So that's how our Thursday night went, and there's more to come. I'm trying to get used to the segments I got. Trying to get used to this thing. My computer lags and gags, so I gotta watch my timer and whatnot, make sure I'm getting in what I want to say in each segment, so I ain't gotta make too much of a big deal. But I told those officers later on that night, I was in my room when two more officers showed up, and they told my wife they knew about the room, so they went in there, and they wanted to check on me because of a comment I had made earlier in the day when the other officers were there. And they just wanted to make sure that my well-being was all right. So while I still have time left on this, and whenever they watch this, the 5 officers that came to my house, Kent County Sheriff's Department, I want to thank you for your kindness, even though I did raise my voice a little bit at one time. I appreciate your politeness in this whole tragic matter, and you didn't ask for it any more than the rest of us. And if you ever want to have the department get a hold of my wife and I so we can personally come down and thank you all once again, I'd appreciate it. Also, I want to point out that I think it's important that from this point on, anyone that watches my videos, please pay attention to everything I'm talking about. Everything. And it'll all come together. The puzzle will all come together. And you can help me with this puzzle, and we can figure this out together, and we can see if we can't help. It's a bad thing, but I started a WBF benefit in February 18th at the North Bar in Luther, and trying to set up an account where we put the word out to raise money for the families, the 3 kids left behind, and I have to get that all situated so people can donate money from around the world, hopefully, and I can reach my goal. And so that's how Tina and my Thursday night went, October 13, 2011. There were other little details in there, but I wanted to make sure I got the gist of it in on time. So thank you for your time. Have a great night. I made it through without getting too emotional on that one, in that particular segment. And I don't know how much time I got left. I'd like to read the rest of this. Okay, I'll try and get it in. I think I got cut off on my second segment for Tom and Pam does one. I'll try and make it through without crying. It's entitled Tragedy Touched Our Families Too. Our community has recently experienced a horrible tragedy in regard to the killing of Officer Slott, duty-bound officer laid to rest, pressed October 22nd. We wish in no way to diminish the events of that day in regards to the sacrifice that Officer Slott made or the suffering and loss felt by his family and the Walker Police Department. However, there are two other families that are in anguish and suffering loss, and this is the Shane family and LaFay families. In the case of the LaFay family, they lost a son, brother, and father in a way that was certainly not of their choosing. They are humiliated and embarrassed that a member of their family would commit such a horrible crime, and that's a fact. Darrell LaFave Sr. has apologized to the Slott family and the Walker Police for his son's actions. They snowed everybody. Press October 15th. This is the burden these families must bear for the rest of their lives. Can we, as a Christian community, ease that burden? Can you? That's what I'm trying to find out. Can we reach out to them with support and encouragement? Can we forgive them? Well, I can't forgive DJ. I said that already. So I had my reasons for that, and it'll explain later as you learn my life and why I believe the way I do. And I know I'm unshaven, but since my neck surgery, this is all numb, and when I do shave, you'll see all the white and why. So I apologize for my scruffiness. Have a great night, everyone. This is the Wild Man signing off on Working Man's Kind of Sorrow on the Nuclear Radio 1,000,001 digital dial. Bye-bye. Good night.